Now that I'm past the launch of the Jaguar, release dates become a bit more fuzzy. That was just the nature of game distribution in the 90s. Unless there was a specific marketing plan that used a particular date, then stuff got sent to manufacturing and shipped out from there to stores piecemeal. Distribution wasn't as bad as it was in the 80s, so it wasn't like there were months in between a game reaching different regions of the country. It's just that when things were actually available to buy, wasn't tracked especially well. The best guess for when you could purchase Evolution Dino Dudes is March 1994. That would be 4 months after the system's launch. Now, in total fairness to the Jaguar, platform launches in the 1990s went a lot slower. 4 months after the Super Nintendo's launch, they only had 30 games. Okay, we're still being a bit unfair here. That was a successor console. The original Nintendo was already popular. Let's compare it to the PlayStation, a new, unproven platform, and 4 months after its launch it had 23 games. Okay, there's no way around this. In that vital first year, before the strongest competition hit, support for the Jaguar was almost non-existent. Now, this actually does start to change after about a year. In fact, I'd say the Jaguar's 1995 was a very good first year for a system. It's just it was the system's second year, and they were staring down the barrel of some extreme competition. Now, with all that said, Evolution Dino Dudes really feels like a patch. Like Atari was going, we've got nothing on our schedule after launch, what do we do? And then Imagitech, who made the Raiden port that the system launched alongside, said, well, we have got this puzzle game that we made a few years ago. The Humans was developed for the Amiga initially, and immediately ported to the PC, like most Amiga games in 1992. I'm playing that PC version here. It was one of the puzzle games about a group of cute but fragile characters, and assigning them particular roles in order to solve puzzles that followed in the wake of Lemmings. Before reaching the Jaguar, the Humans had a few console ports, so it wasn't a totally unknown property. But for some reason, Atari decided to rename it Evolution Dinosaur Dudes. Usually that kind of name change has something to do with trademarks, but the Humans had already been released under that title. I doubt it was a situation where Atari was trying to trick people into buying the same game twice, but there's no mention of the original title anywhere on the package. It does say that Evolution Dino Dudes is trademark Atari, not Imagitech, which means it's very likely the name change was just so Atari could hold on to the brand. You know, for all of those Evolution Dino Dude sequels, spin-offs, the cartoon show. Of course, this wound up being the only Evolution Dino Dudes thing ever released, while the Humans at least got a sequel. Evolution Dino Dudes consists of 80 stages, and your goal on every stage is, well, it changes. But primarily, you just have to get one of your humans to the point that ends the level. It could be the spot where you collect a new tool. It could be just a flashing square on the ground. Not that the game ever tells you that this is what you have to do. They'll tell you that you need to go get a tool, but nothing in the game or manual tells you that you need to only get one person to the goal. I wound up spending a very, very long time on the second level trying to get everybody to the exit. Every stage has a time limit, and the time limit is determined by the difficulty you pick at the start of the game. I recommend that you leave it on easy, since if you pick medium, then you have just enough time to go to the end of the level, assuming you know what you're doing. And hard is just enough time to do that, as long as your execution is flawless. Basically, easy is the only way that you can play this puzzle game as a puzzle game. You control one of the Dino Dudes at a time, and you switch between the Dino Dudes using the number pad on the controller. You'll see a wheel come up when I do that selection, since I'm playing on the Atari 50 collection. The Dino Dudes can move up and down ladders, fall a short distance, and if you press up when there is no ladder there, then they'll raise their hands over their head and form a pillar that other Dino Dudes can climb. That's the only thing they can do without a tool. Getting a tool, however, gives them a lot more options. For example, with the spear, you could throw it, You could use it to vault over gaps, or you could stab people with it. Similarly, if you have a torch, you can use it to set things on fire, or swing it around. Using an item is an awkward process. First, you have to pick it up by walking over it and then pressing down. Okay, now it's in your hands. Then you press A to get ready to use it. Okay, now you're holding the item, ready to use its default action. If there's another action you want to do, then you have to hit C to rotate over to that. Once you've selected the action that you want in the bar at the bottom of the screen, you press and hold B to do that. That activates a power bar to determine how much force you're going to use. And then you release it to throw or vault or whatever you do with that item. They might be going, that really seems like a clunky interface for some basic actions. And yes it is. Your dino dudes are rather fragile. If they fall too far, or get hit by a weapon, or walk near a dinosaur, then they'll die. Stages often have a certain number of dino dudes that you're required to use to complete a level, but you also have some excess ones that will substitute in if you've lost someone. If you've lost too many people and you can't finish the level, then you can hit the option button and choose to restart. You get a password after completing every stage, so if you don't want to lose any dino dudes, and retaining them on later levels is actually kind of helpful, then you can just use the password and try again until you complete it without losing anyone. Something that you might have noticed as I'm playing here is that Evolution Dino Dudes is a very slow game. You might know exactly what to do, but it still takes you 5 minutes to do all of the steps to complete the stage. Especially when it comes down to stuff like passing items back and forth. All of that just grinds your progress to a halt. In fact, you'll notice that I didn't get very far while I was playing Evolution Dino Dudes. I kept stumbling over basic things. It feels like everything here was designed to be slightly annoying. And not in a, well, this is a challenge to overcome as a puzzle kind of way, but more of a keep doing the same things that you know work over and over and over again until eventually you reach the ending. There's a very good reason that you probably haven't heard of the Humans. Even on other platforms, it wasn't especially popular, and I don't know how it got that sequel. I don't think that this is a bad port. In fact, the number pad on the Jaguar probably makes it a little bit easier to play than the computer version. Turning it into Evolution Dino Dudes couldn't save that. It's a pale imitation of much better puzzle games. And the whole time you're playing, you're going to be thinking, I could just be playing one of those games instead.